Hello and welcome to this episode of The Rest is Entertainment with me, Marina Hyde.
And me, Richard Osman. Hello, gang. Hello, Marina.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
I'm very well. I think, listen, an oasis of fun and calm from us this week.
Oh my God, can I just say, I'm so happy we're talking about all these various bits of fun today and not World War III. I will say up the Iranians, go, but this is a place where we're just going to be talking about amusing and fun cultural things.
And specifically, which things are we talking about?
It's a huge year for movies. It's just been the Golden Globes last night, and it's a huge, when we're recording this, which is a Monday morning, it's a huge year for movies, a kind of recovery, amazing bounce back year. There's lots of fun stuff coming out, so we're going to talk about those.
Yes, and I'm going to talk about the biggest TV coming up in the UK as well, and particularly bigging up some of the incredible writers who've got things coming out this year. Some really, really great telly coming up. We are going to talk at the end, we're going to talk about Traitors. We didn't do a live reaction episode because I'm writing at the moment. I apologise for that. But we have got an enormous amount. We were literally delayed starting recording this by about 10 minutes. We were talking about it. And then we said, no, we have to hold the gold. So we're going to be talking about Traitors. We'll do that right at the end. So if you haven't seen it, you can absolutely avoid it. And also, if you don't watch it at all, you can avoid it as well. But if you've been watching it, I think that'll be a lot of fun. And in the middle, in this fun sandwich,
a celebrity has left a group chat and it's massively toxic and it's incredibly low stakes, all the things we really love. So we're going to be talking about Ashley Tisdale, formerly of High School Musical, and leaving a famous LA mums group chat because it had become toxic. Or maybe Ashley had. Let's decide when we discuss that.
As you say, though, the stakes are low.
The stakes are low. Exactly how we like it. Having said that, the stakes are pretty high for Hollywood. We've said many times before that to sort of stay as it is, i.e. in a state of kind of semi-crisis, Hollywood needs to get to $9 billion in box office gross a year. Was just shy of that last year. But pre-pandemic, it was pulling in much bigger returns. Now, this is the year that people are really hoping it's going to be a bounce back year and that they're going to get to 10, maybe beyond. And sorry to talk about it in terms of money like that, but it is a business and it does sort of show, like, are they going to put out enough films that people actually want to see?
That's the thing.
So I'm going to kind of rattle through the different months,
yes,
maybe.
And we'll take whatever conclusions we can from each thing.
Last year, what happened is they had a very bad first quarter. Things were good in the second quarter. They had a bad, very bad third quarter. And then it all sort of came good enough, just about, not quite, in the fourth quarter. So it's interesting where movies are spread. And lots of that's because, you know, if certain holiday things don't hit, then you've got a sort of desert for the next bit. I'm going to talk about the things that are obviously the biggest movies and the ones that have most sort of hype and marketing about them. So remember, there have been actually there have been sort of 60-ish, I think, billion-dollar movies in the whole history of Hollywood.
60?
Yeah, and it's like Avatar, Endgame,
Avatars.
Avengers Endgame, another Avatar, Titanic. So, you know, it doesn't happen very often. It used to happen for a long time with Marvel. Almost all of them were. But anyway, what I'm also interested in this year are what are the things like Sinners, Weapons, Conjuring Last Rites, you know, the genre horror, the genre thing that breaks out and becomes really big. That was all from Warner's last year. We talked about that amazing run by Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi. What are those ones that are not things that people think are going to do really well, particularly, or they'll do quite well, and then kind of double or triple or even more expectations? So in January, you've got a lot of holdover stuff still doing very good business. Bone Temple, 28 Days Later. It's not Danny Boyle. It hasn't directed it. Nia DaCosta's directed this one. It'll do. I think that'll do pretty well, but well enough. Big, I think, February, Wuthering Heights. Emerald Fennell, Jacob Elordi, Margot Robbie. This is going to be like, there's something about Emerald Fennell. She just understands something about the zeitgeist, just able to, you know, those silly jokes people say about things being, you know, just things are just like, has it got lots of gifts? Has it got a potential for lots of gifts? Can it be a TikTok? This will be like a culture war because people will be like, I can't believe they've done this to a Bronte, but this is absolutely disgusting. It will become, I think it will be really, really big. And also people want to see those stars. They're young and people want to see them. Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, people want to see them. I think it will be kind of huge.
I would not recognise Jacob Elordi if I tripped over him in the street.
He's in Euphoria. He's very tall. He's in Frankenstein. He's in lots of things. He's blown up.
Oh, listen, now. I'm absolutely certain it takes me a while.
Yeah.
With acting, it takes me a while with face recognition.
Well, he's one of the very few people in Hollywood that wouldn't be kind of up to your knees. So that if you ever meet someone and think, "Oh, hang on, you must be Jacob Elordi,"
yes, I go.
I got to pat you on the head.
Yeah, and they'll say, "No, I'm not Jacob Elordi. I'm Tom Cruise sitting on Danny DeVito's shoulders."
Okay, then I then do there's some action stuff, but I don't think the first quarter again is going to, and people will have more crisis and say maybe nothing's going to happen.
What do you make of this, the Housemaid movie, which is on the Freedom McFadden book, because that's been huge.
The Housemaid is huge. That's doing amazing business now in January. It's a sort of holdover from last year, but it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, my God, Richard, what about making movies based on the world's biggest selling books, starring Sydney Sweeney with Amanda Seyfried? Yeah, what about doing that? I can't believe it's making money. Can you?
Directed by Paul Feig as well, who's got wit about him and understands the business. Freedom McFadden, by the way, who wrote The Housemaid, this week's paperback chart in the UK, 6 of the top 7 books are Freedom McFadden. 6 of the top 7 best-selling hardbacks in the UK are by the same author. Isn't that unbelievable?
It's
Harlan Coben just in the middle.
There's so much I want to talk about this. Actually, I slightly feel I want to talk about this in the Q&A episode because I know there's been a lot of questions about.
Let's do that. We'll talk about The Housemaid in that because it's fascinating.
Okay, we get to April. Right now, we've got some really big things. We've got Super Mario Galaxy movie. That last one was the biggest movie of the year.
Like insane.
The games are sort of the new superheroes, really.
They're either the worst movies ever made or the biggest movies ever made, aren't they?
And sometimes both.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Now, also in April, the Michael Jackson movie, I think it will be massive, particularly globally, but I think it will be massive. As you know, I believe him to have been a predatory paedophile, but that won't be the line they're going with on the posters. And
it'd be amazing if they used that quote. That would be amazing. As you know, I believe him to be a predatory paedophile. Marina Hyde, the rest is entertainment.
And then just watch it storm to 1 billion. No, okay. Sorry, but it won't get that far, but it will do. I think it will do very, very well.
Because someone mock that up for us when the time comes.
May, we've got, this is a weird one, The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yes, that's exciting.
Not
exciting.
Well, I don't know. Look, listen, I love all the principals, and they're all back. There's Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Stanley Tucci, and Emily Blunt. I'm not sure anyone really needs this. I'll be interested to see how they deal with the fact that magazines are apart from newspapers, the most irrelevant thing in the world.
And also that last year, Spinal Tap and Naked Gun, although a lot of noise was made, did not do a great deal.
Naked Gun did all right. They made a complete mistake on the certification there. If they'd made that a 12, then so many more people would have got to see it. My children were turned away from it.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was ridiculous. For a couple of jokes to make it a 15, that's ridiculous. And then Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, Grogu's, Baby Yoda. So they're taking they're taking something that's been brilliant for them on streaming, and they're putting... Oh, God, I've just got to say, do people care about Star Wars? They've so kind of flogged it and rinsed it for every possible dollar they can. I just don't think this will be as big as it's not going to be like when The Force Awakens came back and that was enormous. We get to June. Now, once we get to summer, there's some absolute mega hitters. I don't know what Masters of the Universe will be like. Jared Leto is Skeletor. And He-Man, I don't know what that would be like.
A live-action remake of...
Yeah.
He-Man.
You may laugh, but I'm looking forward to Scary Movie 6. And I'll tell you why, because they haven't had one out since 2013. We didn't have prestige horror then. I'm interested to see what they do with parodying all of that, because it could be really fun.
And is it the same team?
Yes. Yeah, so I hope that'll be good. Now, Disclosure Day. Spielberg.
Yes.
Spielberg is back with a story he's come up with himself. Someone else has written it. Aliens. Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth. Thank you for looking after Brits. No one knows a huge amount about it. We're not alone, and everyone's trying to sort of tell everyone at the same time. It seems to be what you could glean from the trailer. That will be really fascinating. Can he still make a mega blockbuster hit that people want to see? I mean, I just think he's absolutely brilliant. But whether or not in today's market people want to see that, he was doing things like The Fabelmans, which were obviously smaller movies that basically no one went to see. All those movies which were love letters to cinema, but lots of guys made them.
Who'd have thought?
So it will be really interesting to see if he's still got the old blockbuster mojo.
Could go either way, that couldn't it? Yeah.
Toy Story 5. Now the villain in this is screen time. There is, but
plot twist.
Yes, I know, but it's good, I think.
Yes.
I've heard people say it's absolutely brilliant. It's LilyPad, it's a tablet. Greta Lee does the voice. Now, remember what they did with Inside Out, where they took something that everyone loved and had sort of grown up with, and then they flipped it for Inside Out 2, and Maya Hawke was the voice of anxiety, and so you're able to totally change it and make it quite up to date. If they do it quite badly, then of course everyone will say it's very disappointing. But I'm told that people think it's really, really good, and it's a good update. That I think. So I think to it Toy Story, and also what else are you taking your child to in June? Supergirl, don't care. I just don't care about that. Sorry, DC. I care more about the Clayface, a horror in September, but again, that will be much smaller just by virtue of it being a horror. But July, live action Moana, The Rock,
that's
right back where he should be, in the multiplex.
Yeah.
Showing 15 times a day. That could be enormous. And then The Odyssey. Matt Damon is Odysseus in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Everyone knows the story. And what's quite crucial about that is
I'm not sure I do know the story.
Well, this is interesting. And this is what I thought. It is, for however many decades, it has been a set text in American sort of 14 to 16-year-olds. So
they all know it.
So they do, yeah.
It's like the American An Inspector Calls.
Yeah.
Which everyone in English schools has to read.
Yes, exactly. So
I think it must be more fun to read An Inspector Calls than read The Odyssey. He should have remade that.
Well, he likes, the great men of history. I don't know what we're on. Tetralogy? Will it be a nonology? Would you ever make a movie with a female lead? I don't know. Matt Damon is Odysseus. Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, Charlize. I mean, it's huge. That will be enormous. Yeah. It's just a question because Christopher Nolan. People go for Christopher Nolan films. He is utterly committed to theatrical.
He's like the art house James Cameron, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he'd think of himself as art house at all, actually.
No, but I mean in terms of someone who can make $1 billion movie, but
just his own way completely, and can just get. And he is the star. He is the IP. He is the talent. He is the everything. Yeah. And everyone wants to be in it because he's very brilliant.
What is the story of The Odyssey?
It's a wandering hero returns for more. I'm not going to give you any more than that, Richard.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got that. We've got Spider-Man Brand New Day, which has got Tom Holland. Big month, big July for Tom Holland.
Big July for Tom Holland.
And when we've got Minions 3, Mega Minions.
Okay, great.
Which if you don't think that's making a lot of money,
wake
up. Remember, autumn is when it started to get really bad again last year. But this time we've got, Practical Magic, Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock are coming back. People will watch it. Resident Evil. Now, it's a game. You would think, oh, do I particularly care? But it's Zach Cregger who wrote and directed Weapons. So Resident, and remember, horror people absolutely love, and it has done huge business last year. Things like that people don't really talk about in the kind of culture and in all the pages. Something like Conjuring Last Rites got 500 million.
Yeah.
But you don't sort of see everyone talking about all those things. Anyway, then, very interesting, Digger. Tom Cruise is in Alexander Inarritu film. He is playing someone who isn't Ethan Hunt or Maverick for the first time in more than a decade. I'm really up for this.
Is it a live action Bob the Builder remake?
It's not. I'm sorry. He hasn't gone that far off his own piece.
Yeah.
But
with Glenn Powell and Jacob Elordi as Scoop and Muck.
Yeah. I want to see Tom Cruise back on screen being a screen actor. I think he's an amazing screen actor, obviously a problematic human in many ways, but a fascinating person and brilliant. October, we got a Colleen Hoover. Yes, again, why not make movies out of books that people really like? Verity, that's got Dakota Johnson, Anne Hathaway, Josh Hartnett. That could be something like It Ends With Us. Hopefully it doesn't go quite as off the rails as It Ends With Us. But in terms of things like, oh, how strange, this has become a real hit. It didn't cost very much because...
Yeah, and everyone's read the book.
Yeah, everyone's read the book, and it doesn't involve lots of CGI and locations. The Social Reckoning. Now that's the sort of part 2 of The Social Network. Sadly, not directed by David Fincher, but directed by Aaron Sorkin, who's done the script again.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Jeremy Strong is Zuckerberg, so there'll certainly be a lot of acting occurring. Street Fighter, based off the arcade game. There have been earlier Street Fighters.
Yes.
That they've got an insane cast for that. It's like an ensemble of people like Jason Momoa, 50 Cent. I don't know. Maybe Street Fighter will be people's guilty pleasure in October. November, now it gets massive. You've got Narnia, Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping. Although Hunger Games ones don't do so well now it's not Jennifer Lawrence in that original franchise. But The Cat in the Hat, don't bet against Dr. Seuss over the holidays because you've got to take your children to something. And Focker-in-Law. Normally I'd say, well, who really cares? We haven't seen every iteration, but it's sort of built around Ariana Grande.
So it's a Meet the Parents.
Yeah,
Sequel.
it's Ariana Grande in a comedy. Remember, she started in comedy as a child actress. So I would like to see. I think that will probably do better than people, because people will go and see her. And then December is absolutely massive.
It's been massive all year so far.
It has, but there have those danger periods of the first quarter and the third quarter are still there. December, Avengers Doomsday, the Russo brothers are back. I've got a feeling it could be a little bit like... people will go and see this, but remember the last one...
I can live without Avengers now.
Oh my God, please.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can really live with that. It's like
amazing.
Mourinho's second stint at Chelsea.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it really
Can the
is.
Russo brothers bring back some of that old magic? No.
To me, it's going to be like his third stint at Chelsea coming up soon.
Don't. It will be huge. They'll make a lot. It will make a lot of money. It'll get over $1 billion, I'm sure. I mean, if it doesn't... But if it goes anything lower than that, then it will be judged. The last one got 2.7 or 2.8 billion. It's unbelievable.
That's a lot of
it will
money.
be judged, a huge flop, and we won't have to deal with Marvel in our lives anymore. Here's hoping. Because I just think it was an amazing run. They're the most amazing producers. They did an extraordinary thing. But enough now. I don't think all of our stories need to be sublimated through the medium of men in tights any longer. June Part 3, that's just grown with the first two. And again, it's Denis Villeneuve, and it will be...
June,
they're having
Timothy
June
Chalamet.
in December this time.
My new favourite because of Marty Supreme.
Yeah, they're having Chalamet and Zendaya, and I think we can be quite clear that people turn out for those two, and they turn out for this franchise, and it will be the biggest, I think, of all of them so far. And Jumanji 3.
Wow.
Yet again, you know what? We don't need to see you in the Smash Machine Rock, because we're going to see you in Jumanji 3. You're going to be dropped into the jungle again as somebody else's avatar, and that's how we like it. So that, I think, rounding off the year, that's those things. We've got the big family hit movies. We've got all of that. Can I talk about ones I'm excited for that aren't those?
Yes. Can I ask you one question before that, though? Which of those is going to be the biggest movie of the year? Would it be Dune? Would it be Super Mario Galaxy? Would it be the live action Moana? Or would it be Spielberg? What do you think?
I don't think it will be Spielberg. I think it could... you just don't know. It could be the Odyssey. It's just such a range. It could be the Odyssey. I think Moana will be enormous. I don't know if I want to stick everything on the Odyssey, but he's got that thing where people just come out for it. Him in that and they come out for a long time in the same way that James Cameron has. Doesn't matter if you didn't do that much this weekend, because people are going to keep going to see Avatar. I mean, I think June will be big, but I don't think it'll be anything like that big. I think Odyssey.
See, I'd have thought maybe Super Mario Galaxy.
It could be.
And I feel like we're going to get over 9 billion.
Yeah, and imagine if you got to 11. There's a lot.
So that's lovely. If we take care of 9 billion, that's good for the business, good for the industry, good for workers. But creativity, what are the movies outside of that? Exactly, where we sort of fill in and you have films that you just love to go and see and feel good about yourself because you're watching proper old-fashioned cinema.
Okay, The Moment. Charlie, which is a mockumentary, Charlie XCX plays a sort of dark... It's A24. Charlie XCX plays a sort of dark mirror version of herself, about to embark on her huge first world tour. So that's fun. Looking forward to that. Sorry, I'm going to go to the cinema and see the Melania documentary, because there's going to be a documentary in the cinema again. Wow, that's interesting. I'll have to see Brett Ratner's take on Melania. I don't know why. I've watched the trailer for this and I'm thinking, I'm not going to go, but maybe I'm going to go. Project Hail Mary. Ryan Gosling, for some reason, a middle school teacher, is for some reason, I've watched the trailer about 6 times, the only guy who can go to space and save Earth. And he meets an alien up there. I don't know. I can't help myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And is it based on a true story?
I think so. And the drama, Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, they're like a couple. That's another A24. They're getting married and there's some sort of secret is discovered and they can't. It's a sort of comedy drama. So I'm looking forward to that one because I love both those performers. Can I just talk to you about something called Whale Fall?
Called what, sorry?
Whale Fall.
Whale Fall?
Josh, Whale Fall.
I didn't see Whale 3.
Whale Fall.
Whale Fall? Tell me the plot of Whale Fall.
A man, Josh Brolin, dies. And
oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
I've seen that movie.
Yeah, and they're trying to look for his son is trying to look for his remains,
Okay.
Austin Abrams, who was actually in Weapons with Josh Brolin, and gets swallowed by a sperm whale.
I presume he's looking for his remains underwater.
Yeah, You'd hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a hell of a different picture than I'm imagining. But and it gets swallowed by a sperm male. Can he think of a way to escape before his oxygen runs out? I can't.
Listen,
I'm there on day one, Richard. I'm there on day one.
I can think of 2 ways to escape. I know which one I prefer, but I can think of 2 ways. Actually, 3 if you count the blowhole. I would not call that movie Whalefall. I would call it Don't Discount the Blowhole.
And Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, Stephen Knight's. So that will be...
That's exciting.
I mean, there are lots of other small ones. There's lots of good horror coming, and there's lots of sort of interesting things like that. But I hope it all works out, and that there certainly is more to watch.
Yeah.
With quite obvious plays for massive multiplex, big things that people actually want to see. So I hope it works out, because plenty of other things aren't.
Exactly, and I'd say the same for television. Actually,
tell me about the telly.
There's lots of good. I'm going to give you a top 5, and they're actually all based on how much I like the writers of those things. But there's all sorts of big things coming out. Heated Rivalry is about to drop in the UK, which is this ice hockey love affair thing that's going to absolutely. Massive in the States, based on some books as well. So that's been absolutely huge. We're going to have a new Euphoria as well. The Pit is finally going to come to UK TV. It's been a huge hit in America. People absolutely adore it, and for lots of reasons. I think because of the delay of the...
it's a hospital drama.
As a hospital drama. Russell T Davies has got a new show, Tiptoe, on Channel 4. Jimmy McGovern is bringing back Time, which always has a different cast. David Tennant's in it this time. Richard Gadd, a baby reindeer, has his new show, Half Man. That will be a very, very interesting thing to watch. Exactly, about the two brothers. Dear England, the Gareth Southgate drama, is coming to TV. George Kay, one of my favourite writers, is got a show called War, where Dominic West plays a tech titan and Sienna Miller plays a film star. And you think, yeah, count me in. George Kay's writing on those two. But the 5 thing, Rivals is coming back. Can't wait for that. Line of Duty is coming back for a 7th series. So there's loads and loads of good things to come up.
Ending.
Yeah, exactly. Here are the 5 things.
I love that they're doing that, by the way. Thank you for serving the audiences.
The Gibbons brothers, Neil and Rob Gibbons, who write all the Partridge stuff, have got a sitcom with Lenny Rush called The Reluctant Vampire. And that feels like, if that's as good as everybody involved is, then it's going to be a huge hit. I'm going to give you 5 shows, all of which come from writers I love. Stefan Godoszewski, who wrote Mum, is back with a show called Babies. So with Papa Essiadu is in that. He's an unbelievably great writer. Tony Schumacher, who wrote The Responder, and that was his first ever TV show, and it's people who watch that will tell you how great it is. He's back with a show called The Cage, which is Sheridan Smith and Michael Socha working in a Liverpool casino, and they both want to rob it. And you're like, okay, then in which case I will be watching your show. We have Michaela Cole is back with First Day on Earth. Lisa McGee is back. Lisa McGee, who the writer of the wonderful Derry Girls. We had a lot of people, family over for Christmas, and a couple of them had not watched Derry Girls, and they absolutely blitzed the whole lot. They were like, this is unbelievable. Yeah. And it is unbelievable. You forget how brilliant Derry Girls is. So to have Lisa McGee back is brilliant. It's called How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, which is on Netflix in February. The show, genuinely, I think is going to be an amazing show, because I absolutely love her. Daisy Haggard, who did Back to Life, which was, I think, a wonderful bit of television. She has written a show about witness protection, where she plays Bella Ramsey's mother, and it's called Maya. She's written the whole thing, directed the whole thing. It's on Channel 4. Channel 4 have got a bunch of really, really good things coming out this year. So it feels like all of our best writers have got something new coming out for us this year. So I know there's lots of good movies coming up, and it's important to go to the cinemas and watch that. But it feels like there's BBC, there's Channel 4, there's the streamers as well, but so many good bits of telly coming up for us to be able to talk about. Some of them will be disappointments, I'm certain, but some of them won't. And that's the thing I love about the entertainment industry is, however much you want to sort of, bemoan things, every year someone does something where you just go, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, this didn't exist before, and now it exists forever.
And there's a huge potential in both of those particular mediums this year. I really do think.
Exactly that. I think at the top end, with the high end stuff, things are very, very, very healthy. A huge problem in the middle of television. There's not kind of 100 other commissions and daytime commissions and quiz commissions and entertainment commissions. Yeah, exactly. There's not kind of a huge groundswell of telly, but the stuff that is being done at least seems like it's going to be a treat. Shall we have some ads? And after that, we're going to be talking about our very, very low stakes WhatsApp celebrity drama. We've all had WhatsApp dramas all of us, but this one's better than all of ours because it involves some very, very low rent celebrities.
And we're also going to talk about the Traitors. So it is wall-to-wall drama after the break.
It's all fun. No one's getting stuck in a whale. Welcome back, everybody. Now, I am going to make a admission to you.
Yeah.
Before this week, I did not know who Ashley Tisdale was.
Okay. You know that I would have known who she was.
Now I barely know who she was, but she's in the middle of a huge WhatsApp drama. Can you fill us in?
Yeah, I can. I'll tell you who she was. She was, because I can. She was, she played Sharpay. She was a bit of a drama queen. Oh. So big stretch there. In High School Musical. So she was part of the whole, Disney, the Mouse's childhood erasing factory, which involved countless other stars, some of whom we'll end up mentioning. Anyway, she was in a group chat, a new mums group chat.
Or new moms.
New moms.
Because they were all American.
Yeah, they're all American. I'm going to speak in English for this, I think. But she was in a group chat with various others. The sort of the admin of this group chat was Hilary Duff, who used to be in Lizzie McGuire and other Disney shows.
Her I had heard of.
You had heard of her.
I mean, I couldn't pick her out of a lineup.
No.
If she was married to Jacob Elordi and I walked past him in the street, I wouldn't know who that couple was.
Well, she is married to somebody who gets a part in this story, so hold on to your hats. Mandy Moore, who's a singer.
Yes.
Meghan Trainor, who's an alleged singer.
I know Meghan Trainor.
This is the funniest thing since she got a Grammy. Seriously, I've loved this so much. This story is my favourite thing. I can't. It's the best group chat story since that one about bombing Yemen, but that was real, and it's more destructive. This one in some ways. Hilary Duff and Ashley Tisdale must have met on the Disney Channel in the noughties.
It's like anything, people have been on a reality show, whatever it is, you have your group and, things go back and forth, memes,
they put a lot of stuff on Instagram, hanging out, they were exchanging sourdough.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't even have to care about these people because they exchange sourdough on Instagram, so that's it for me.
So I'm done. It's quite performative.
Yeah. Anyway, on January the 5th, The Cut, which is New York's magazine, one part of New York Magazine, published an essay based on Ashley's blog. Yeah, it's the noughties because she's still got a blog. And she called it Breaking Up with My Toxic Mom Group. And she said, I thought I found my village. Instead, I was back in high school. Like real high school, not East High School, which was,
High School
I always want to say the word, her fictional alma mater. Her fictional alma mater, East High School, in wherever they were. I think it was set in like Albuquerque or something. Anyway, Ashley says she was left out of a couple of group hangs. She seems to have been frozen out in some way via the medium of a dinner party plasma. And she started saying, maybe I'm not cool enough. Anyway, so she says in this essay, so I texted the group, this is too high school for me and I don't want to take part in it anymore. And saying, people were talking about each other derogatory when they weren't there. I wasn't included in things, blah, blah, blah. The other thing she said was, this has also made some wannabe online sleuths try to do some investigating like they're on CSI. Please don't even try. Whatever you think is true isn't even close. For clarification, what everyone thinks is true, because Hilary Duff's husband's now dialed into this. We now know it is true. But
by the way,
she did deny it once it was spinning out of control. And her agent said there is zero truth in it. You can imagine on their actual group chat, our agent saying, you've done what now? You've written it. You're supposed to be an actress.
With Hilary who?
You've written an essay for the New York Magazine about
Meghan Trainor.
A really easily identifiable group chat.
She did brilliantly straight afterwards said, no, this is about a different group of moms who I'm in a group chat with.
Okay.
Are you like, okay?
Okay.
Are they in the room with us now? She said that this is where it becomes deeply relatable, though. She says, the whole reason she wrote this essay, she felt alienated and like nobody took her questions to heart, since other moms wouldn't reply to her links and memes.
Oh my God.
We've all been there, haven't we? If you're in like a particularly active WhatsApp group and you post a little joke or something and no one comes back for 10 minutes, you just think, oh great, I'm going to have to emigrate. That's it. Everyone hates me now. And the first person who breaks that ceiling comes back with a little cry laugh or something. You just think, oh my God, thank you so much.
So much.
But so that's
do you want to meet up?
Exactly, but that's where Ashley was. She'd obviously done some meme which for her was either heartfelt or hilarious, and everyone's like, "Oh, Ashley's done a meme."
I don't know. She did a Charlie Kirk tribute, which I don't think they loved. Yeah,
Yes,
so,
I think that might be
once
more
again,
at the heart of
America's
it.
toxic politics just gets everywhere.
Yeah.
And so the queen bee of this group was the sort of Regina George of it was definitely Hilary Duff, who she
Who's
said
Regina George?
she's the mean girl in Mean Girls. She's the head
There you
mean
go.
girl in Mean Girls.
Do you know what? I did know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And her husband, she said, I'd had children before and they were all on their first babies. Oh, right. I really want to be in this group.
God,
Okay.
all right,
So-
Yoda.
Right, Hilary Duff's husband, Matthew Comer. So, bear in mind that everyone's saying, like, Ashley Tisdale's like, this couldn't be further from the truth. He's posted a picture of his own head superimposed onto the picture they used for Ashley Tisdale in the Cut magazine. And he's written, when you're the most self-obsessed, tone-deaf person on earth, other mums tend to shift focus to their actual toddlers.
I mean, should we go through that again? Read that again, because it's great.
When you're the most self-obsessed, tone-deaf person on earth, other mums tend to shift focus to their actual toddlers.
I mean, they're in
Ooh.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
To be called tone deaf and self-obsessed in Hollywood.
That means something.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Hilary Duff, not only that, Hilary Duff's in the middle of a comeback. Oh no, how unfortunate. She's got a new album.
Hilary
out.
Duff sounds like a Coronation Street character.
She does, completely. She'd be in the snug with her rovers.
I mean, her name,
Millie Caldwell.
not her accent.
Yeah.
She's not do it like that, Hilary Duff.
So there's all this other stuff about why they iced her out. But the stuff that's coming in anonymous, but obviously very pointed briefings from all the other people in the group are, she shared a Charlie Kirk tribute. She didn't help enough in the wildfires. I tell you what, Hilary Duff was housed by Mandy Moore or the other way around. I can't remember, and I'm not going to look it up. So let's just assume. And the phrase misalignment of values has been used.
Okay. I mean, there are WhatsApp groups where a meme comes through. You're like, oh, that's interesting, because it assumes a complicity of everybody on that WhatsApp group.
Can you imagine the side group chat, though, about this group chat?
Oh, that's the group chat I'd be interested in. There must have been a non-Ashley Tisdale WhatsApp group before Ashley Tisdale was frozen out.
And she would have obviously had abortive attempts to create her own side chats that didn't work out.
do
First of
you know
all,
what?
I want a reunion show.
That's
I want it
heartbreaking.
televised.
Yeah.
This matters.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be on one of the major news channels instead of some of the awful news for at least an hour.
That's a really good idea.
There are lots of famous group chats, and I know the Avengers have got one. And Chris Evans actually once left it because it all got too much. They had lots of roasting and whatever. But Scarlett Johansson says sometimes people post box office numbers on it. Which I quite like. Maybe that's why Chris Evans left. No offence. But Taylor's squad, I mean, can you imagine how many group chats she's got?
Oh, God, you would be so, if you had, I mean, that's an MVP in your group chat, isn't it?
You'd love
to
but
have
you'd be worried about the side chats. All the Spider-Men have got one.
All the Spider-Men have got a...
not, I mean, but Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire.
You think they just go on the web?
Yeah. Very good.
Oh, I mean, do you know what? Is it?
I think that, sometimes people say there's nowhere as lonely as a marriage that isn't working. I think being frozen out of some group chats can be as lonely as that, maybe. Because we didn't have these things a few years ago, and now they sort of run the world. And when I say they run the world, they really do literally run the world, because, as I say, the US National Security Advisor added accidentally, former US National Security Advisor, added accidentally a journalist to a group chat about bombing Yemen while it was happening. So we know they run. The group chats run the world now. We just, you can't map them, and no one knows what's happening with them, but they know they're there.
And the whole point of WhatsApp was it's supposed to have some, privacy to it. And as soon as something's opened up to like friends of friends of friends of friends, you think, I don't think there's a lot of privacy here. I don't think it takes a lot, especially if you've got like a famous mom's WhatsApp group. That doesn't feel private to me.
No, you need to have a very, very, very strong initiation process. A bit like those racists in One Battle After Another, when it takes absolute ages to be sure that this person is a really proper, completely cast iron, bona fide racist who you can be in your little clan. And I'm using a K version. And if there's any possibility that they're not full, if there's a misalignment of values, Richard, then you can't have them. But they do think that it's all groups settle into characters. So you've got like the admin, the comedian, the person who is like an emotional manager, the one that everyone goes to for side chats. And it's actually, despite being a relatively new thing, has settled into something almost like pantomime.
The side chat WhatsApp group is much bigger than. I mean,
Yeah.
almost any big WhatsApp group is fairly quiet, but the side chat WhatsApp groups are absolutely on fire.
Well, that's what all these
all the time.
podcasts are. They're like the side chat of the broadcast. that they became the side chat of TV things, and what people wanted was the things that you would say that you wouldn't say in a more conventional setting. But they've sort of become. But they do run the world, I think.
I've spoken before about every single reality show that's ever been made. They set up a WhatsApp group afterwards, or the celebs who've been on it, because they're like, I really think I've met my best friends since I've been in here. And I've seen various people who've been on various shows in their various WhatsApp groups, and it just, the way it peters out breaks
I'd love to read that.
your heart. It honestly breaks your heart. You know, I would love someone to do a book, which is the last post on every single failed WhatsApp group. Just the final thing that was said, the last cry, the last echo into the darkness before everyone just went, we just leave it there, shall we?
And just do it as a coffee table book.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I called it Everybody Has Left the Group.
I feel like I have to segue into our next subject matter, because
The
WhatsApp group for this year's Traitors would be interesting.
Wouldn't it just?
It's the midpoint of the series. It has been some absolutely epic TV. If you haven't watched it, stop listening now, because
you're very welcome.
If you haven't watched episode 6, this is going to talk about things that happened in episode 6, or anything up to and including episode 6.
Yeah, so not this week's ones. We're not talking about that.
Not
last week's ones.
No. Now, Richard, when Fiona departed,
yes,
it was interesting. People saying, "What a woman! What an amazing woman!" Were they watching a different Fiona to me? I did not experience her as a wonderful person. First of all, my commiserations to the whatever Welsh local government office, because that is a colleague and a half. The drama of that was she played it like an American nihilist, like Kate from Below Deck in season 1 of the US Traitors. Like just a complete. She had a sort of. In some ways, to me, she represented boomerism as an idea within the game, given every single possible advantage, unprecedented, really, squandered it all, and probably ruined it for everyone coming after her. I mean, sorry.
But should be given none of the blame.
Should be given the executive producer credit on this series.
It is fairly extraordinary. Every time you think, I wonder what they're going to do, what's going to happen in this series of Traitors, you go, oh, okay, something I've never seen before. Worth noting that the ratings for this series are higher even than the Celebrity Traitors ratings. I think some of that is to do with putting it at 8 o'clock, which has opened it up to a slightly younger audience. Even though a lot of people aren't watching it at 8 o'clock, it just means that it's bringing more people into the tent. We spoke on our first reaction video about the secret traitor being a thing that you put in very early, just because we've all worked out that nothing is really happening in the first few episodes, and we said they would end it quite early. They ended it very early. In the end, because they'd found a traitor. So I think the maths of the whole thing was not working. So they brought Fiona in. I mean, I've never seen an episode like it, and it all stems. It absolutely stems. It doesn't stem from a suspicion or anything. It stems from jealousy that somebody else was told something that you were not told. The whole thing. And that's why Traitors is such an amazing television program, because one person feels jealous that somebody else has shared a secret with someone that they think they should have shared with them. And so rather than kind of going, okay, and maybe I'll think about who I am as a human being, they go, I'm going to blow this whole thing up. Not only am I going to blow it up, I am going to win. She has picked on the wrong person. She picked on the right person, I think. Yeah.
My most terrifying older woman this year since Aunt Gladys in Weapons. If you've seen it, you know. But there was an element of like, oh, you want a president kidnapped? You want me to invade like a country for some minerals? I'll do that. Yeah. She had a huge main character energy.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that when people say young people are self-obsessed, I thought, okay, give her a chance.
Amazing TV though, Fiona, you have to say. And as
like
always,
I said, just give her an EP credit.
But it's worth remembering always on these shows that people come across differently on television than they might do if you meet them in real life. If they're placed in those situations, bits of their character might not be exactly who they actually are. But in terms of the narrative of this program, oh my God, she's been absolutely extraordinary chaos, which is what you want. Controlled chaos. If she stayed in, Can you imagine if on that round table they had voted out Sam and Stephen, who, don't forget, voted for Fiona, Stephen and Rachel and Fiona had all gone back into that turret? I mean, I would not have been able to watch. I would not have been able to watch. I would have had to just go like England in a penalty shootout. I'm like, you know what? I have to go in the other room. You have to tell me when it's all over.
But she has that reality distortion feat. She said, I couldn't put Rachel down because she deserves to win. Okay, is that what you're already telling yourself?
Because also, by the way, and quite rightly, you put Sam down because he's the only person who had any heat on him at that round table. So your only chance of surviving is that Sam gets more votes. That's why you put Sam down, because no one was going to vote for Rachel.
I agree. And Sam, it's quite unfair they're voting for. You know what it reminded me of? There's always been people in American politics where people, and by the way, they don't often make it, but people look at them and say, yeah, but he looks like a president. Like Mitt Romney, like Paul Ryan, John Kerry, there's kind of slightly patrician or kind of clean cut, those kind of guys. The problem with Sam is he just looks like a traitor.
Yes, he really does. He really does.
What can I tell you?
Yeah.
I don't make the rules. It just looks like a traitor.
And he's one of the few standout people from that large blob of kind of 30-year-old men who were in the show this week. He was the sort of first one to put his head above the parapet. Every week they seem to have introduced a new man that we haven't seen before. Like Matthew, you're like, oh, hello.
Well, hello.
Irish Matthew.
Well, they were giving him, what they did with him is that they gave him an entrance, really, because there are sometimes when you think, I haven't really seen much of them. And then it means so much more when he walked into the church and was like, I'm ready to do a deal with you.
Yes, and you're like, oh, I've sort of seen this guy on the round table. Have I seen this guy? He's one of the guys who sit at the round table. Oh, and now he's, okay, so oftentimes you will go light on someone in the edit because you know that
there'll be more coming.
They're a big player later on. So yes, he's been interesting. He looks, by the way, exactly like Owen McLove from Father Ted. You know, the little kid who all the grannies love, the singer.
Yeah.
He looks exactly like him.
Harriet. Can we get on to Harriet?
Yes. We must.
Okay,
the standout star of the piece so far, I think.
Yeah, probably the best faithful we've seen, although Jessie's very good, but she's good on one tack, but Harriet knows it all. The trouble is, she's right about lots of things. Traitor, she thought it was traitor on traitor, and there is a peculiar energy to a confrontation, isn't there? There just has been, after you've seen a certain number of series, that you just know that it's, even if you didn't know much about it, you think there's a strange energy here. And I guess the assumption is this is because it's traitor on traitor.
Yeah, it's two friends having a row and you think, oh, I have missed something.
Yeah.
Something has happened when I haven't been in the room. And in the Traitors, nothing happens when you haven't been in the room unless it happens in the turret.
But is she going to be the ultimate victim of the stupidity premium,
Harriet,
which we've talked about before, Harriet? Because either they recruit her or they murder her now in the next episode.
If
they don't,
she seems to be hinting that she will keep Rachel close, which would be the smart thing to do. You know, if I were her, the next play is to say to Rachel, here are the two people I know for a fact are faithfuls, is you and choose anyone else, doesn't matter who else you choose, but just so Rachel's like, oh, okay, I've got Harriet on board, that's good.
I think it's too dangerous. Why do you not just murder her?
If you think that she is of use to you, if you think that you can have little, don't forget you can murder people, but you can't banish people. But if you've got a very strong player like Harriet, if you're Rachel, you can say, oh, okay, we can't murder person X because it looks too obvious. However, Harriet might be able to banish them for us, so she becomes like an adjunct to the turret if you trust her.
But I ultimately think that Rachel is intrinsically a lone wolf person, and actually the traitor's position is very strong if there's a team of at least two, and you can have one liability within
Stephen.
That turret. Well, I mean,
I love Stephen, but
he's just a reaction meme. Yeah. He's 65 reaction memes per show. Okay, it's only a 60-minute show.
Yeah. But it's got because I didn't think anyone would ever go redder and look more guilty than Alan Carr. Yeah. But every time you're like, Stephen, it's sort of showing.
But you've got to say something, so you just say, "Are we going to discuss this?"
Yeah.
Just bless him. But listen, it helps if there are two who are really tight. But Rachel has never had that. She's never acted that tight with him and within the turret even, and felt like they're a total unit and they're going together. You don't get that vibe off her. And I wonder whether she's intrinsically just too.
Well, they haven't had the chance to coalesce at all, really. When there were three of them, you had the secret traitor, so that was an issue. Then
We had Hugo, who's a liability.
Hugo left, so
Yeah.
that's difficult. Then suddenly
Then
the
you got
secret traitor
mega
is there.
liability.
Then you got mega liability coming in, the Ashley Tisdale of the piece. And so they haven't really had the chance to be proper traitors and to formulate a plan or
But
a plot.
you have to formulate a bond, and I don't think they have that bond. I found it absolutely. I felt like, did I miss something when when Stephen kept saying, "I'm so close to Fiona"?
Yeah.
Because I hadn't necessarily got that vibe either. So, but obviously they have to just kind of. There's only a limited amount of time.
But anyway, so Harriet, we were talking
carry
about,
on, please.
which is interesting.
I just think you have to murder her.
I think that there is a route through, but that route through is at Rachel's side. I don't think there is another route through, or being recruited.
She's got the ability to go into the church and
ask questions. I don't know what questions I would ask. Even Matt's question, it was because they can lie, they can say whatever they want. So his question was his questions made, which is who are you going to get rid of next, and if you would you like to recruit me? They make great television as questions. I think as a traitor, I don't know if they particularly.
I think I'd say, who would you most like me to go after at the round table? Because then they're most likely going to give you the name of, at least you'll know that the one piece of information you'll get is that person it's vanishing unlikely that person's a traitor and that they're doing a double bluff. So at least you know that person was a faithful.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know, wouldn't you? I mean, just for one piece of information, you've got two questions. You could get one, you could know for sure about one person with one of the questions.
Oh, by the way, an absolute textbook thing that they missed this time around, which happens a lot, is when the four of them were in cages, Sam and Stephen and Reese and Maz, and Sam went first, then Stephen went, and so it was Reese and Maz left in the cages.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, I'm suspicious of Reese. I think it's Reese. You know for a fact, they wouldn't put this in the edit, but you know for a fact that if there are two people left in the edit, one of them cannot be a traitor because you know who's going.
Yeah.
So you know for a fact that Reese is a faithful. You know for an absolute fact that Reese is a faithful, and nobody picked up on it. If I was in there, the one thing I'd know is, oh, okay, I know somebody is a faithful. That's someone I can take aside and say, look, I absolutely know for a fact you're a faithful. But of course, as is the way of these things, they got rid of him there, saying it was a mercy killing. And then he's like, oh my God, I literally was just excited that I could finally go back in there and do nice things, and they got rid of me. So I don't think it was a mercy killing.
No,
but
that was some more reality distortion.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I'm going to vote you off a show you want to stay on. That's not a no.
Harriet, here's an interesting thing that everyone in the book trade is talking about. Okay, so Harriet is a real deal novelist, right? So
she writes crime.
Absolutely top of her game. Blood Orange, which is her first book, was a big bestseller. Everyone knows it. Everyone in the industry knows Harriet. And there is a question, which is, what does this show do for book sales? So publishing is an industry that's in sort of perma-crisis about how to reach people, how to get anyone to find authors, how to get people to find their books. And suddenly you have an author who is on far and away the biggest TV show in the country. I mean, like crazy. And not only is on far and away the biggest TV show in the country, but is sort of the standout star of it in terms of what you would want a crime novelist to be.
Yes, exactly.
Which is absolutely getting people's motivations.
On brand.
It could not be more on brand. And there was a thing in the bookseller saying that her book sales had gone up 93% in the previous week, which sounds impressive, but they'd gone up from 181 to 343. Okay, that was a number they were talking about. Now, there is enormous opportunity for her and for her publishers now. Maybe in that first week, people, you're not necessarily going to read a book just because you like someone on TV. However, if you're a publisher, this feels like your Instagram game has to.
Do you understand publishing, Richard?
No. You know what? Increasingly, no.
Jesus.
Harriet has a new book coming out called Witch Trials. And so I was looking up the date that it's out. And it's out on February the 26th.
Oh, well done.
And this show finishes on January the 23rd. Now, there's lots of different reasons why it's very hard to bring books forward. Supermarket slots and things like that have to be booked kind of sometimes 6 months in advance. But this show was finished a long time ago. Harriet would have known that she'd done a pretty good job a long time ago. You would think you would move heaven and earth to get that hardback to come out in the week that Traitors finishes. To give you an idea of the economics of these things, so she's going to sell a lot of her backlist. She's got 4 novels already, and they're already doing good numbers. that's not really where the money is going to come. You make like £1 per paperback. On a hardback, it's very, 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 very hard to sell hardbacks. I think her last book sold 3,000 hardbacks, which is absolutely not bad at all. But if you bring out Witch Trials in the week that she comes out of that castle, and every single chat show in the land will book her in that week, they all will. She's shown what it is that she does, who it is that she is. You can go onto Amazon and read reviews of her books and see, she's the real deal. Like, people really, really love what she does, and people who've read advanced copies of Witch Trials say it's terrific as well. You've got an opportunity to sell 100,000 hardbacks for that author, and and the money side, you get £4 a hardback or something like that. It's for a publisher to have an opportunity to break a great author and to put them into that next level. It happens so rarely, and it's absolutely come along here. And by the way, maybe they will.
Trying to be kind to that business. Is it possible that she's I've never seen a copy of the agreement they have to sign. Is it possible that the NDA is just so limiting that you can't say that to anyone that you've been on it, or can you just quietly break that? And you're not saying, can you? I
think you can say you've been on it. I think people I've spoken to knew that she was on it before it was announced. Yeah, for sure. And
in that case, I've got nothing.
Yeah. And also, if you are Harriet, Harriet is not someone who's backwards and coming forwards in terms of her views, and she represents herself very well. She can, even if she's not telling her publisher she's on it, she could say, I think there's a strong argument to say that we move this forward a little bit. I mean, again, she wouldn't know exactly when Traitors is being scheduled, but she knows it's not going to finish at the end of February. So yes, you have to plan these things like a long time ahead, and bookshops have certain space for certain things. But as an industry in publishing, we're trying to get people to read. We're trying to get more and more people into bookshops. We're trying to get more and more people to get into great authors. There's this huge opportunity here, absolutely staring us in the face, and maybe everyone will step up. And maybe at the end of Feb, when this comes out, it'll do huge numbers, and maybe they'll have a campaign in place to deal with it. I don't know if they will or not, but that's something I'm going to keep a very, very close eye on, because what an opportunity. And by the way, for someone like Harriet, this is not a friend of mine's daughter was talking to me about Traitors, and she said, on Love Island, a lot of people go on Love Island just to boost their OnlyFans and their Insta following. So she's saying, would Harriet be more interested in the prize money, or would she be more interested in book sales? And certainly in terms of money, I mean, I think, as been very widely reported, I think she's in a fairly comfortable position anyway. I don't imagine the money would go to anywhere other than charity. But as an author, there's one thing you want, and that's for people to read your books.
Yeah,
because they're really hard to write. You pour so much of yourself into it, and the one thing you want is for people to read your books. So the one thing Harriet will want out of this, doesn't matter what it is, prize money, winning, none of that will be as important to her as people finding her books, loving her books, recommending her books, and that next time she writes a book, more and more people read it, and just to find a readership. And that, I think, will be the most powerful takeaway for Harriet Tice. And I think for the book industry, I think it'll be a reckoning. Can we take advantage of it? How do we take advantage of it? Can we move at speed? Can we turn a super tanker around quicker than we normally do? And it's very possible that they will be able to. It's very possible they won't be able to. But the answer either way will tell us a lot about the publishing industry and where it has to go next.
Just before we wind up, can I ask you about this fan theory that everyone has a connection, some kind of connection with everybody else, because there's that family tree in the castle. We already know that Judy was Roxy's mother, and that Ellie and Ross were boyfriend and girlfriend. And there is this sort of fan theory. There's a thing that happens on Uncloaked when you get these two parchments, or they call them scrolls or whatever. It's not a scroll, actually, it's a parchment, but it's fine. And they say open the first one, and that's the one that tells you who the traitors were that you don't know. And I want, if there's two, are they not waiting? Is there not going to be something they're filming, and that they're gathering all the reaction shots, and that we haven't yet seen that, and they're going to say, and also, and then that will detail all the, or maybe I'm just being a complete conspiracy theorist. And
no, you would certainly assume so.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I would say about that.
Right.
But it's again, hats off to Studio Lambert and the whole team making that show. You know, to follow up Celeb Traitors, which was so huge, and to put together this show, which is so compelling.
Yeah.
In a completely different way.
And bear in mind, they're filmed back to back. They've been
Yeah.
filmed back to back last summer. It's absolutely extraordinary. And to innovate within the game in these kind of completely unexpected ways.
It is so easy to mess this show up.
Yeah.
I cannot begin to tell you how simple to be. And by the way, they will at some point. But
Yeah.
God, they haven't yet.
They haven't, no way.
And that's very, very impressive. I can't wait. Is it Wednesday, the next one?
Wednesday.
Wow.
Have you got any recommendations?
A couple, yes. I usually recommend the Harlan Coben show that comes out on New Year's Day, and this one I think is his best yet. It's called Runaway. I'd really recommend that. 8 episodes, twisty-turny as always. And I want to recommend a book I mentioned at the top that I was reading, an amazing book. My mum recommended it to me. It is called When the Cranes Fly South, which sounds like the sort of name I would make up if I have to pretend I'm writing a Booker Prize winner, but it's called When the Cranes Fly South, so don't let that put you off it, by Lisa Ridson, who's a Swedish author. And it is about, it's if it doesn't sound like your sort of thing, I would say don't read it or listen to it, but it's about a guy in his 80s in Sweden and his family, and his son he's getting increasingly infirm and they want to take his dog off him. And you're like, oh. It is so heartbreaking and funny and beautiful and wise, and I just think it's an absolutely extraordinary book. As I say, my mum read it and she said, like, you have to read this book. And if you do have relatives in their 80s, or if you're in their 80s, it's very, very truthful about life and living, and it's I won't say anything more about it other than I'm finding it very, very beautiful, and it's punctuated by the notes that his carers leave when they come and visit him each day. So it's a huge swathe of stuff of him, and then just these little kind of notes about their visits. But it's really, really good. Called When the Cranes Fly South by Lisa Ridson. So thank you to my mum, who has absolutely exemplary taste in books, and this is a case in point. So Runaway, the Harlan Coben show on Netflix, I love, and When the Cranes Fly South by Lisa Ridson. How about you?
I'm going to recommend Heated Rivalry. We talked about
so you've
it.
actually seen it.
Okay, yeah, I love it when something like this happens. I love it when something that doesn't really have massive hype at all. This is the gay hockey romance. It's on Sky or Now. It's been out in the States and Canada beforehand, and it's just come out now, and it's in the UK, and it's been this huge hit over there. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because I definitely want to talk about. I know there's been so many questions about it. We'll definitely talk about this on the Q&A. Right. I think it's really interesting. I like romances anyway, but I love it when I just find it when there's a cultural phenomenon. I'm desperate to see it. What's everyone talking about? I will talk more about my thoughts about it in the Q&A, but I'll recommend that because it's like, if there's something that big, I always think if you get a chance, have a look and just see what everyone's talking about. Not everyone, but many.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we will do a Q&A on Thursday.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it.
So much. And yes, to everyone at home, thank you so much for listening. If you want to become a member, don't forget wrestlersentertainment.com. You can do that if you wish. Ad-free listening, all of that stuff.
We've got a bonus episode about Popeye the movie, and this means something, the most cocaine-fueled set in movie history on Friday for our members. But other than that...
We'll see you on Thursday.
See you on Thursday.